Well, good morning, church. If you're still coming in, go ahead and come on in and find your seat. We're going to get underway with our Advent candle lighting part of the service. And it's my privilege today. I get to have up here with me the Tremaines. Yes, let's hear it for them. Yeah. If you haven't had a chance to meet them yet, you should, because, look at the baby. Come on, look at that. But I've known them for a couple years now. I have the privilege, I get to work and serve alongside them. Mark is on staff with the student ministry, and Lauren volunteers a ton of her time there. So when we hired Mark, we thought, we're getting Mark, but kind of a 2-for-1 deal. We got Lauren, too. And then we actually got a bonus one as well. So this is Mark, Lauren, and baby Charlotte, or she prefers to go by Lottie. So they're all up here together with us. And again, today our Advent theme is love. Very appropriate subject at Christmas time. And a lot of things change when you have a baby. And one of those things that we were talking about is that your view of love, in fact, also changes. So Mark, will you tell people a little bit, especially in this Christmas season, how has your view of love changed since having Charlotte?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a different dynamic having 3 of us instead of 2 of us. But I remember one thing my parents told me growing up was you won't realize how selfish you are until you get married, and then you won't realize how selfish you are after that until you have kids. And we've definitely experienced that. Just a more sacrificial kind of love is needed when the things that she interrupts are things that you kind of took for granted, like free time and sleep.
Yep.
But she's been such a joy to have around, and I think one of the biggest things that we've learned is just kind of about God's love for us. If we look at the New Testament, one of the dominant metaphors for God's relationship to his people is that of a father to his children. And so getting to love her, just to kind of experience the joys of her starting to grow up, realizing how much greater is the love that God has for us. And I remember there was one time when she was probably only a couple of weeks old, refused to go to sleep, was just kind of crying and screaming, and I was walking around with her outside our house, just trying to hold her and get her to sleep. And the thought occurred to me, this is the kind of love that God has for me. When I am kicking and screaming against his plan, and he continues to love me and hold me and walk me in the way that I should go. And if I have this love for baby Lottie, how much greater is God's love for me? So definitely an eye-opening experience.
I don't know, Mark. It seems like she sleeps pretty easily. I'm not sure. Yeah. As we were talking about this, a verse that you guys came up with that wanted to share was in 1 John. So Lauren, will you share 1 John 3:1?
Yeah. See what kind of love the Father has given to us, that we should be called children of God. And so we are. The reason why the world does not know us is that it did not know him.
So today we're going to be talking, of course, about love, a very fitting theme, like I said, during the Christmas season. So just remember the love that God has for you. And, when you think of little baby Lottie, think of little baby Jesus that God sent because he loved us. So Mark, will you pray for our time now?
Father, I thank you for Campus Bible Church, for all of the people that you've brought here today, for this time that we can spend together, just worshiping you and learning from your word. I pray that as we celebrate this Advent season, that we would just be reminded of the love that you have for us, as we think about just your son come down to earth, love come down, that we would just be filled with an overwhelming sense of joy and gratitude for that love. And that in this season, when we're busy and tired and stressed, that we would just be able to pass that love on to others, that we would love them as you have loved us. We ask your blessing on this time and pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And Lauren, will you light the love candle? All right. And now please stand with us as we now sing to our King.
Sing it out. There are walls between us. There are walls between us. By the cross you came and broke them down. You broke them down. There were chains around us. By your grace we are no longer bound. No longer bound. You called me out of the grave. You called me into the light. You called my name and then my heart came alive. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. darkness shaking. Feel the darkness shaking. All the dead are coming back to life. I'm back to life. Hear the song awaken. All creation singing, we're alive. 'Cause you're alive. You called me out of the grave. You called me into the light. You called my name and then my heart came alive. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. And what a love we found. Death can't hold us down. We shout it out, we're alive, it's your life. And what a love we found. Death can't hold us down. We shout it out, we're alive, it's you're alive. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Yes, it does. What an amazing love he has. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Oh, come, all ye faithful. Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come, ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Sing choirs of angels, sing in exaltation. Oh, sing, all ye citizens of heaven above. Glory to God, oh, glory in the highest. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Yea, Lord, we greet thee, born this happy morning. Jesus, to thee be all glory give. Word of the Father, now in flesh appearing. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Oh, come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou dayspring, come and cheer our spirits by thine advent here. Disperse the gloomy clouds of night, and death's dark shadows put to flight. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou wisdom from on high, and order all things far and nigh. To us the path of knowledge show, and cause us sinner ways to go. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, desire of nations by, all peoples in one heart and mind. Bid envy, strife, and quarrel cease. Fill the whole world with heaven's peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Shall come to thee, O Israel. You are Emmanuel, God with us, the one who came off of his throne and dwelt among us, came as a baby. And we celebrate that this morning in Jesus' name. Amen. You may be seated.
Good morning, Campus Church. We are so excited that you've chosen to worship with us this morning. Thank you, worship team, for that beautiful time of bringing us before the Lord. So we would like to welcome you. If you would like to take a moment, you can take the welcome card, the information card in the seat back in front of you. If there's any new information that we need here, if there's any prayer requests, anything we can do for you, the staff would love to know about that this week. If it's your first time here, we're especially happy to see you, and we would love to talk with you. You can stop at the information booth out in the courtyard. We have a gift, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Our names are Brian and Jen Erickson. I'm one of the pastors here at campus, and we're just, again, really glad that you're all with us. I was handed this by a friend of mine before I came up for first service. Anybody know what this is? It's mistletoe. Anybody else get one of these? So I walked up to some single gals from our career group, and I said, you know what this is? They pointed at Jen and go, she's over there, you know. So they want no part of that. So I just think we should try this out, honey. What do you think? Ooh. Yeah. Mistletoe tradition. I mean, we are talking about love this morning, right, in the Advent candle. So anyway, we've got some announcements we want to be able to give to you. The first one is right after this service. If you are a member of our church, you are invited to join us for the congregational business meeting. This is our annual and basically only official congregational meeting that we have each year. And it's an important meeting because as a church congregation, one of the things that we have a say in is budget for the new year. And so that's one of the things we're going to be voting on today as a congregation, to greenlight the budget, to get behind the budget as a congregation, to realize as members of this church the responsibility that we have to be able to give towards the things that the Lord has laid upon our hearts as a church when it comes to ministry. And so we'd love to have you join us. Even if you're not a member, you're welcome to come 12:30 right in this room after this service and just hang out, but only people who are members of the church will vote.
And then we would like to invite you back again this evening at 6 o'clock. Right here, we will be meeting to divide into groups and go caroling out in the neighborhoods around Campus Church. It's an exciting time. It's a great outreach, a way to serve the community. There will be prizes for those who come with the most creative or unique or ugly Christmas accessory. And if you don't feel that you can walk the neighborhoods, there will be a team that will stay right here and pray for those who are out singing.
And so you know, there's some people that choose not to come to caroling because they worry that they might be the best singer in the group, and they're not a good singer. And so just realize that we have specifically chosen leaders who have good voices for each of these groups, so you will not have to carry the group, okay? So if that's in any way part of your reason for not coming back, it's going to be nice. I just looked at the weather reports for later. It's going to be low 50s, and maybe as we wrap up at around 8, it'll be high 40s. So very doable, but dress up in your Christmas gear, and as Jen said, we got some good prizes for the best sweater. I bought the prizes. These are prizes I would want. Anyway, but I'm not going to take them. Anyway, so let's go on to the next announcement, which is coming up in a few weeks on the last day of 2023, 12/34, December 20. I'm sorry, what is the last day? December 31st. In this room on New Year's Eve, we're going to be joining together at 6 o'clock to celebrate something we don't do a whole lot of, and that's celebrating Rosh Hashanah and the coming together with Rosh Hashanah with Hanukkah. And so Pastor Jim, who's done a lot of study, traveled tons of times over to Israel, is going to give us a real glimpse into what it means to celebrate as the people of God, as the Jewish people celebrate Rosh Hashanah and Hanukkah. And if you can make it to this, it's for kids of all ages, young kids as well. It's going to be a real family night. There's a lot of sweets that go along with this. And one of the things Jim's going to be doing is teaching us how to have these celebrations as a family in years to come. He's going to give us a little booklet that shows us how to do this as a family. Jim says he's done it with his family and grandkids for years. Now he's doing it for our church family. So put it on your calendars, December 31st. If we put it early enough in the evening, 6 o'clock, so it's ahead of all your major celebrations coming later where you're going to be blowing horns and ringing in the new year. Of course, we go to bed, 9 o'clock on that night, so we're not the party type. But anyway, come on out that night on the 31st. It's going to be a great time for us as a church family to ring in the new year and to celebrate in a cool way. So I'm going to invite the ushers at this time to make your way towards the front. And as they do, let's prepare our hearts to take the offering. Our great God and King, you indeed are Emmanuel, God with us. And as we celebrate the God of the universe coming into this world as a baby at this Christmas time, as we celebrate it, what it really means to love, as we see your sacrificial gift given to us, Lord, as your true purpose came years later.
So much, Gannon. Church, just go ahead and take a few moments, go to your feet, and just find someone to say hello to, good morning, Merry Christmas, all the above. You know, there's a lot of cool sounds you hear when you're a pastor. One of them we don't hear as much anymore was the turning of the Bible pages, because now you have digital ones. But there's the sound of everyone saying hello and laughing, and that's another fun too. That's a great one. So continue that after the service. Continue that. But today, do grab out your Bibles, and then also if you have one of the bulletins, there's a note sheet in there if you want that as well. Today we're continuing our Advent series that we're calling the Gift Exchange. And as we've been going through this, we've been looking at different gifts or things that we bring to God and what we get in exchange. And as we've been going through this as well, you might have noticed that a lot of times it's kind of a lopsided exchange. The thing that we bring to God is not really as good as the thing we get from Him. I have to admit, with gifts, I have kind of a interesting relationship with them. I'm not the greatest at gifts. I think I'm actually pretty good at giving gifts. This is where my perfectionism comes into play of trying to find just the perfect gift. It's the other side of it, the receiving, that I'm not great at. Now, if you want to give me a gift, I will gladly take it, of course. But what I mean is, anytime someone does give me a gift, automatically in my mind, I go to the place of thinking how do I make this fair? How do I even this out? How do I balance those scales? And that's not the spirit of gift giving. I understand that, but it's still pretty much where I always go. Now, my wife, I've mentioned it before, is a very natural gift giver. It's like breathing to her. It just happens. Gifts just has them, and they gives them out, and she just loves doing that. And for someone like me who wants to always balance things out, it's tough because, Megan she just finds gifts and then gives one, and so then there's a gift deficit there, and then so I'll try to make up for it, and then there's 10 more, and it just keeps getting more and more uneven, more out of scale, right? It doesn't really work. So when we were newly married, I mentioned this a couple years ago, I would get very stressed out around the holidays because I would go, and I literally remember our first apartment, going to our Christmas tree and looking and being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, okay, I'm gonna go get one more. So I leave, gotta go get one more present, come back, and there's 5 more now for me under there. And Megan hasn't moved from the spot she was sitting. I'm how does this happen? I don't know. And she's well, I was just out, and as I was out, I got a gift, and then I saw another gift, and then I got another gift, and then it's man. So I'd go, and I got to get 5 more now, and then I come back, and now there'd be 15 more. It's they're reproducing somehow. Doesn't make any sense. And so all the way up until Christmas, instead of just being oh, my wife's awesome, I'm going to focus on that. No, I was every night looking, I'm okay, there's another one there. How did she do that? Over and over until Christmas Eve. Finally, I knew, okay, it has to stop. At that point, she can't go get more gifts. And she usually somehow would still. It would just always be uneven. And Megan didn't care about that. She just loves giving gifts. I was the one who was having a hard time. So a few years ago, what we started doing was, I said, okay, it's enough. We can't do it anymore. I can't take your generosity anymore. It's just too much. And so we got to equal this out. So what we did, we went just very simple, just the 4 gifts. It rhymes. It's an easy number. Now we just do something you want, something you need, something to wear, and something to read. Easy, simple. I know I got to get 4. I know she's going to get 4. But even with that, she cheats because she'll be oh, the thing you wear is a whole new wardrobe. I'm that's not how that's supposed to be. It's not really the spirit of it. But at least it's closer. And I've gotten more okay with just understanding that she's just better at this than I am. And that's okay. Now, like I said, when it comes to a gift, anything, even if a buddy gives me a book, I'm okay, I got to get him a book now. I always want to make it even. But with the gift exchange that we're talking about in this series, it will never be even. So you might as well just not even try. You cannot even things out with God. Anything He gives you is going to be better every single time. Now, of course, we should offer Him our best, but you got to know your best is not as good as His best. It just won't be. And especially when we look at today. Today what we're talking about is exchanging anger for love. It's that's really lopsided, right? God really gets the short end of that deal. But here's the thing. He wants us to do that. He wants us to make that exchange. It's an exchange he is actually encouraging us to do. He wants us to bring our anger to him, and he wants to give us love. I was reading recently about a unique kind of a house. I like reading about architecture, and I wanted to be an architect until I found out it's math. I'm like, well, never mind. But I like architecture, at least reading about it. So I was reading about a kind of house called a spite house. Here's what a spite house is. A spite house is a building constructed or substantially modified to irritate neighbors or any party with land stakes. Basically, a house built to spite someone. Like, this is a real thing, and it is pervasive, way more than you would think. I spent hours of research reading about this, because I just couldn't, it was just like this tunnel, I just going further and further down of all these houses that people built just to spite someone. I'll give you a few examples. A very popular one is called the Montlake Spite House. Now, this one, it's about 860 square feet, so not too unusual. What's unusual about it, though, is at its widest point, it's 15 feet. At its widest point. At its narrowest point, it's 5 feet. Like, my arm span is bigger than that. So you have to imagine the walls being like that. Like, you could reach across very easily. And all these houses have stories, sometimes several stories. This one, the most pervasive story, goes back to 1925 and a divorce settlement that took place. And the judge in this divorce settlement said, okay, the husband can have the house, the wife can have the yard. That seemed fair to him, so that's what he did. And the wife said, that doesn't seem fair. So what she did was built a house on the yard, right next to the ex-husband's house, right there's a lot of awkward conversations, I'm sure. But basically to spite him. So what she did, the shape of the house is exactly the shape of the yard, which explains why it's such a very odd shape. Another one, this one's called the Boston Skinny House. And they brag about being the narrowest house in Boston. If you're going to be known for something, why not? This one goes back to the 1870s. And the story goes, there was two brothers. One went off to fight in the Civil War, and one stayed. And then the father passed away, left a parcel of land to the brothers, but the one who was still there figured, he's not coming back. I might as well just build the house that I want to build, because, why not? And then the brother came back and was like, hey, that was supposed to be for both of us. And he's like, oops. And then so the other brother built a house that, in fact, was 10.4 feet at its widest, 6 feet at its narrowest, but to make up for the loss of space, he just built it 4 stories tall. Also built it 4 stories tall to block the view of his brother's house from seeing the ocean. So, again, a little bit of spite in there. Last one I'll give you, the Richardson Spite House. This was from 1882, and the story here goes, there was a man named Hyman Sarner who owned a parcel of land, and he wanted to build an apartment complex on it. But right next to it was a little kind of skinny parcel of land. He thought, well, I'll just buy that one too and build it across both. So he went to a man named Joseph Richardson, said, I'd like to buy your piece of land for $1,000, which I'm sure in 1882 was probably a lot of money, but Richardson disagreed. He said, how about $5,000? And Sarner said, look, I don't really need that piece of land. It's fine. I'll just build it on mine and, whatever. It's not worth that much money. Joseph Richardson went home and said this to his daughter, I shall build me a couple of tall houses on the little strip, which will bar the light from Sarner's windows, overlooking my land. And he'll find he would have profited had he paid me the $5,000. Now, what he literally did, building codes were much different. All these houses predate building codes because you can't do any of this stuff anymore. He literally built the house right up against the apartment complex, literally blocking all the windows in that house. Again, because, he wanted to spite him. All these stories, every single one, and there was a lot more that I read about too, every single one were all motivated by anger. And I was thinking about that. Imagine being so angry that you would spend time and money to build a ridiculous house just to get back at someone. And as I was thinking about that, I was realizing that the anger is really, it's a powerful motivator. Anger is something that we all deal with. And even during this holiday season, we deal with anger. I would even go so far as to say maybe, for some of us, it's more during the holiday season that we deal with anger. Because we have a culture and a society that this time of year, it's less about peace, and it's more about stress and hurry and unmet and even unrealistic expectations. And all those things just build and build and build. And eventually there's so much pressure, and the pressure needs a release, and usually the release is anger. We find ourselves quite angry. Again, not just this time of year, but year-round. Now, I do find it interesting that when this subject was assigned to me, I found it odd that I had it because on staff, we literally have a pastor, Pastor Jim, who wrote the book on anger, like literally a book on anger. So I would recommend, first off, just tune out the rest of the sermon and go get a copy of his book on anger. You'll benefit more. But instead, I'm going to steal some quotes from his book and use those as well. And it also is kind of fitting that I got this subject because I have a spotty record with anger. We'll talk more about that later on. But from the very top, we got to start with a place that maybe some of you are already thinking, wait a second. Anger and love they're not opposites, right? And even anger, it's not always bad. The anger I have is fine because, it's not wrong. True, anger is not always bad. In fact, Ephesians 4:26 says, be angry and do not sin. Okay, well, clearly, anger is not always a sin, but it can cross the line. So we have to remember that God created our emotions, and God created the emotion of anger. So why? So I'm going to quote from Pastor Jim. He says this in his book. What then is the God-intended purpose for the emotion of anger? Very simply, anger generates energy to make changes. So that could be good or bad. It could generate you to make positive changes or negative changes like building a house to spite someone. It could go either way. There's righteous anger, but that's not the kind of anger we're talking about today. We're not talking about God's anger. That's not what we need to exchange. Pastor Jim goes on in his book. He says, whereas God created anger to generate energy to make appropriate changes, we have turned it into an excuse for lashing out and hurting others, ourselves, and even trying to hurt God. The anger that we are talking about today that we need to exchange is not godly anger. It is fleshly anger. It is man's anger. It's self-centered anger. This is what the Bible says about that. James 1:20 says, the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. So it's easy for us to say, well, yeah, but my anger is righteous anger. My anger is justified anger. My anger, and maybe it is. But most often I think that the anger we have is self-centered and selfish. We are angry because of what was done to us. And that's the kind of anger that we need to exchange for God's love. But you might be thinking like, well, why? Why should I? Well, because very simply put, love is better than anger. No matter what the source of the anger, no matter why you have anger, no matter what it is, love is always better than anger. So this is a good exchange that we're making. Now, again, when I think of gift exchanges, I think about Christmas in particular, and I think about like a Christmas party. There's usually gift exchanges there. We've already done a couple. We've done one with the college students. We're going to do another one with the junior high students, high school students. And there's the gift exchange that takes place, but there's always a chance with these that you will bring a gift and then leave with a worse gift. It happens. And in these gift exchanges, you don't know because it's, so what did someone else bring? What are you going to bring? You never really know how it's going to work. I remember one time in particular, I was in 4th grade. This scarred me for the rest of my life. I still remember this very clearly. There was a gift exchange at school, and this was not my first rodeo. I knew how these worked. So I knew that if you got a higher up number, it was better. Because then you can see more options, right? People open gifts, you can steal those gifts, or you can still go open up a new one. You have choices. So we were going, and we picked the numbers out of the hat. I had number 3. I was like, oh, man. So I get to see 2 people open, and then I have to either get a new one or steal one of those. Oh, what a bummer. And then my friend was next to me, and he got number 30, the last number. And he's like, oh, I wish I had your number. And I was explaining, no, actually, your number's better because you get to go at the very end. You get to see what everyone has, and you can choose if you want to steal or get the last gift that's left. That's the good one. He's like, no, going early is better. I'm like, no. I tried to explain again. He wasn't getting it. He's like, do you want to trade? I'm like, well, I tried to explain it to him. Sure, let's make a trade. So I took his number. He took mine. He went number 3. I'm waiting until the end. I'm scoping everything out, seeing all the gifts. I'm like, oh, I could steal that. I could steal that. Ooh, I might steal that. But then I found out the teacher, my very sweet 4th grade teacher, wanted to do a no-steal gift exchange. So there's no hurt feelings or anyone being sad, right? Except for me. I was very sad. when the last present that's left, the one everyone else avoided because it was like wrapped with like paper towels from the bathroom, and you could tell someone just like literally forgot about this. It was the last thing that was there. Nobody else wanted it. That's the one that I got stuck with. And I remember thinking like, I brought something way better than what is left. Sure enough, it was true. Because in that case, I was stuck with whatever was the leftovers. And that can happen with a gift exchange. You don't know what you're going to get. Hopefully it's not going to be something terrible, but it could be. The thing is, though, with this gift exchange that we're talking about, you are guaranteed always to get something better. Anything you bring to God, no matter how good it is, you will get something better. No matter how big our anger is, he will give a bigger dose of love in return. That's an exchange that you're guaranteed. So how do we do this? How do we exchange our anger for his love? Well, number one, to trade anger for love, you have to recognize that love is better. To even engage in this exchange, we first have to understand that what he's offering is better than what we have. That his love is, in fact, better than anger. We have to see that that's true and be willing to make that exchange. My wife, Megan, she used to work at a coffee shop in our old hometown. And it was kind of just, a small town with a coffee shop in it, so people would just kind of come and hang out throughout the day. So I'd hang out there. There'd be friends and family hanging out there. And our 3-year-old nephew would come, and he would hang out in the coffee shop as well. And what he would do, he would kind of just sit over to the side, and he'd watch when customers would go up. And if a customer paid with cash, he would run up right away and ask them, do you have any quarters? And who's going to say no to a cute little 3-year-old beggar, right? I mean, everyone's going to give him quarters, of course. That's just all he wanted, quarters. He didn't care about anything else, just wanted quarters. And we are sure, he probably had thousands of quarters by the time he got through his career there at the coffee shop. Quarter after quarter after quarter. Now, one time he did this. He ran up, asked the customer, do you have any quarters? And the customer had this big smile on his face, and he's like, I got something better. And pulled out his wallet and took out a dollar bill. He's like, here you go. And my nephew just stood there and stared at him. He's like, no thanks. Do you have any quarters? Because to a 3-year-old, he's like, why are you offering me a wrinkly piece of paper? I want the shiny quarter, right? Like the silver thing. That's the thing I want. He couldn't see that actually a dollar was better than a quarter. So he didn't want to make that trade. He didn't understand that. We have to understand that with God, when we go to him, he is offering something better. We can even look at it sometimes and be like, I don't know if that's really what I want. What God offers is better. It always is better. So yes, anger is a powerful motivator, but love is better. Think about John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. For God so loved the world. That was why. That was the motivator for what he did. That's why we have Christmas, because of the love of God. Now, anger, fleshly anger, man's anger, it never delivers on what it promises. Anger divides, but love unites. Anger destroys, love builds. Anger pushes people away and keeps them at a distance. Love draws people in, it unites. Anger is selfish. Love is selfless. Love is always better. Now, notice nowhere am I saying that love is easier. Let's be honest. Anger is pretty easy. Love, though, takes work. But just because something's easier doesn't automatically make it right. Jesus said in John 13:34, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. So he commands us to love, and then he just wants to clarify. So, okay, and here's what I mean by that. As I've loved you, love each other. That's a really tall, difficult order, but it's our calling. So anger is this emotion that we have to control. And love is a choice that we have to make. So number 2, to trade anger for love, you got to be honest about your anger. All of us deal with anger. We have to recognize that that's the fact. You have anger, I have anger. We have to be honest and say that that's simply true. Like I said earlier, I've struggled over the years with having a temper. I would be very easily angered. And I think I was probably about maybe 18 or 19 when I finally took this to God and I was like, I don't want to be like that anymore. I don't like being out of control. I don't like what happens when I lose my temper. I don't want that. So God, please give me patience. And I thought that because I had the right heart and the right attitude, that God would very much, just like when Solomon asked for wisdom, just be like, yes, my son, you are now blessed with patience. And that's not what he did at all. Instead, God's like, oh, you want patience? Allow me to give you many opportunities to practice patience. And it's continued ever since then, pretty much. But I think it's worked. I mean, not completely, but over time, I think God has allowed me to have more patience. But it's a work in progress. So I would say my fuse has gotten longer, but it's still connected to something that can still blow up occasionally. A work in progress. Recently, just over this last summer, my family, we had a chance to go to South Lake Tahoe. We used to live up north. We used to live kind of close to this area, so we'd go there pretty often. We usually would go there for anniversaries and things like that. And so we had a chance to go. We took it. And there's this one area in South Lake Tahoe called Heavenly Village, which we always like to go to. It's very it's built and manufactured to feel this way, but it feels like you're in like a movie, like a 1980s or 90s like ski movie, right? So it has the restaurants and the shops, and the gondola comes right down through it and everything. And we go to this place, and it's touristy, so a little bit more expensive. But there was one restaurant my wife and I would often go to, and we'd always, anniversaries, birthdays, we'd go there. But we never took kids, because it's expensive, and let's be honest, why waste the money? And, they're happy with anything. So we never took kids there, but as we're walking through Heavenly Village, I pull up the website and looking for a place to eat, and I noticed that the lunch price is actually, pretty good. Still a little expensive, touristy and everything, but, for vacation, it's not that bad, actually. So we go to this special restaurant. The kids love it. We love it. We have a great time, a great meal. And then the bill comes, and it was about twice what the advertised price was. And when you're talking like tourist prices, it was just like, wow, that's a lot of numbers on there. So I'm looking at this, and I pulled up and make sure I didn't read it wrong. And I know this is exactly what it says. And so I called the server over. I'm like, this is awkward, but the price on the bill says this. The price on the website says this. And he kind of looks, and he's like, oh man, that must be really out of date. I don't know when we last had that price. That would be a really good deal. Yeah. That's why we came here, because it's a really good deal. It's like, yeah, there's no way we could do that price. And that wouldn't even cover our food. That'd be crazy. Yeah, well, that's what it says. So he's like, yeah, all right, so it's cash or card? And I was like, no, hold on here. This is the price it says, and this is the price you did. So we kind of go back and forth a little bit. I'm staying cool, calm, collected, it's fine. And then after a few back and forth, and he's not really getting it, and I'm not really backing down, I kind of feel something on my arm tugging me, and I look, and it's my wife kind of just being like, let's go. I'm like, honey, it's fine. I got it. Look, composed, relaxed, don't worry about it. So going back and forth with the server, he just keeps saying, look, there's nothing we can do about it. There's no way we could honor that price. I'm like, well, I bet you could. And so finally I say, well, fine, no worries. Can you just have a supervisor come out? And he starts to get a little bit more heated. He's like, the supervisor's not going to tell you anything different than what I'm telling you. I'm like, well, let's find out. So he storms off, and then the supervisor comes out because, I don't know, maybe she was like a prodigy, but she was younger than the server. And I'm like, I think it's his buddy from the back room. He's like, come here, just pretend. I don't know what really happened. But as soon as she comes out, right away, she's like, instantly, she's like, look, I don't know what you think, but the price is the price, just starts going off. And I was like, that's not what I expected. Calm, collected, keeping my cool. I'm like, I understand that. And I even try to be reasonable. I'm like, okay, I get it. However, can you do anything to even meet us? I get that's a really low price, but can you meet us halfway? She's like, look, we don't have any control over what's on that site. That's not our site. That's like the Heavenly Village site, so we can't tell them what to put. I'm like, okay, come on. So they could put free food at this restaurant, and you couldn't do anything about that. She's like, nothing we can do, which I later emailed them. That's not true. They were told what to put on there, but that's not the point, because I didn't know that at the time. So anyways, we're going back and forth, and it starts to get a little bit more amped up, and I'm saying, anything, right? Because you're saying this much, which is way higher than this much, and then everything's fine, until she says, look, we're not going to do anything because it's your fault, not ours. And I don't remember anything after that. That was about it right there. I pushed back. I threw the bill down with my credit cards. This is ridiculous. I can't believe worst customer service I've ever had. We've been coming here for years. That's it. We're never coming back again. To which the server said, well, then it's good we didn't give you a discount if you're not coming back anyways. And at that point, Megan is just like, all right, here we go. Just pulled me out of the restaurant, and I'm just like, everything, I think probably everyone else is probably embarrassed, but I was like, no, it's fine. Righteous anger, that was unjustified, that was uncalled for. And we get a couple steps away from the restaurant, and I don't know, I call it the conviction of the Holy Spirit. It was right away, you need to go back and apologize. I was like, no, I don't. And I proceeded probably for 10 or 15 minutes to argue basically with God. No, I am absolutely not. They owe me an apology. And the more I got worked up, the more I was like, I'm right, they're wrong. They should give me a discount and like some free food and other stuff. I don't know, but I was just like, I'm right, they're wrong. And I keep going, and finally I feel like I won this argument with God because I was like, no, here's why, blank, 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 blank. I'm not going back. And then I noticed that the sun kind of came out from the clouds and it was really bright, so I reached for my sunglasses and realized they're still on the table at the restaurant because I was so mad I just left everything right there. So I was like, and then in my head was the voice of, like, you going back now? Yeah, I'm going back now. So I start walking back, and there's an outdoor seating area also, and the server is outside, and he sees me coming. His eyes get like really big. He's like, this is, uh-oh. And I'm like, no, hey, just a quick thing. Just go up to him, like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? Look, I'm sorry. I told him I'm a Christian. That was not the way a Christian should behave. I apologize. I fell short of my standards. I'm sorry about that. And he's like, oh, yeah, and he said some stuff too, and back and forth. I said, you know what? I was so mad. I had left without even giving you a tip. I feel bad about that. Could I do something? He's like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, well, he's like, we automatically do 20% for parties of 8 or more. And right away, like, first thought is like, there's no way I was going to give you 20%. It's going to be like $2, so I feel better about myself, not 20%. And then second thought was like, we were a party of 7, not 8. And then my third thought was like, keep your mouth shut and walk away. I'm like, okay, Lord be with you. And then I left. And instantly, I did feel better because, I felt I should apologize. I felt better about the situation. Hopefully he had a better day after that rather than ending on that note. But I also hope that someday I don't get to a place where I have to have that whole thing happen. A few years ago, I would not have gone back and apologized. But boy, it'd be nice if a few years from now, I don't have an exchange like that I need to apologize for. When it comes to anger, I can tell you I'm a work in progress. Some days better than others. And sometimes better than others. And some days and weeks and months better than others. It's a process that we're all working through. So I'm honest about the fact that I have anger. I bring that anger to God, and I want to exchange that for the love that he has. Now, I still think I was right in the situation, but I was right and yet wrong because I wasn't behaving with love. 1 Corinthians 13, 1-3 says this, if I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I'm a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains but have not love, I'm nothing. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver my body up to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is absolutely better than anger. Our lives, they're a sermon. So what kind of sermon are we telling people with the way that we live? Love is supposed to be the overriding hallmark of a believer's life. Jesus said in John 13:35, by this, all people will know you're my disciples, if you have love for one another. We're supposed to be primarily known not as people that are angry, but as people that are loving. So number 3, to trade anger for love, you have to be willing to let your anger go. And this I've found is the sticking point for most people because we feel like our anger is justified. And the truth of the matter is, it often is. But love is greater. I've been in situations, even counseling people, where they say, no, you don't understand what they did to me, how they hurt me. They don't deserve forgiveness, and all that might be true, but that's not the path to freedom. The love that God offers is greater because, again, anger overpromises and always underdelivers. A previous church I was at, I was doing a funeral for someone. In the few years that I had known him, he was a great man. He was the epitome of like a follower of Jesus. He was loving, he was kind, he was selfless, he was always willing to help anyone out he could. And during the funeral, people were getting up one after another and talking about this man. Until the very last person. He had not always been a believer, and he had had children before he came to faith. And so one of his kids didn't even come, but his daughter, she did come. And she got up and she said, the guy you guys are talking about, I never knew. And now I really wish that I had. Now, there's a lot there to unpack, more than I could even know, because a lot of stuff happened. And from what I understand, she was justifiably angry at her dad. But after he came to faith in Christ, he was, in fact, a new person, but there was still that disconnect there. And now, because of that anger that she had, she never had a chance to actually know who he became. Now, that doesn't erase all the negative that had happened. That's still there. But she got to this point where her dad was now gone, and she says, man, I wish I had a chance to actually know the one you guys are talking about. Anger never gives us what we actually want. And we can keep our anger, we can absolutely do that, but I can tell you, as a recovering angerholic, love is better. Ephesians 4:32 says, be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you. Again, I want to make it clear, it's not easier, and it's not minimizing or diminishing the things that you're angry about. It's just saying how great and big is the love of God. Because forgiveness is actually for our benefit. It releases us. It frees us. And we can only do it with God's help. So the last point I want to make is that to trade anger for love, you have to accept God's love. Go to God with your anger and see what he gives you in return. Maybe you're angry at others. Well, take that anger to God. Just be honest. Be open with him. He already knows about it. Take some time to just sit and receive his love. Let that love work in you. Let that love fill you. Let that love overflow from you. We're called, as believers in Jesus, to love other believers. We're also called to love strangers. We're called to love our friends and family. And we're even called to love our enemies. God says just love. But you're not called to love with your own capacity. Philippians 2:13, it says, God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases him. God's the one who does the heavy lifting. He gives you his love, and through that love, you can have love for others. If we're in his love, we'll find that we have the desire and the ability to do what he's asked. Romans 5:5 says, God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, who has been given to us. God's love is being poured into your heart. And then we can then pour it out to others. I didn't start drinking coffee regularly until we had kids. Made it all the way through life, through college, staying up late, papers, studying, all that, and then we had a baby, and I was like, there needs to be something in the world that will help us survive this. And Megan's like, I've been waiting for this moment. There's coffee. She's been drinking coffee forever. And it was so happened to be the same time where like the Keurig coffee machines came out, and it was perfect because it wasn't like a whole pot you had to make, just a cup whenever you needed it. And with a baby, we just needed it all the time. 2 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, whatever time you can make a cup of coffee. And one night, I remember holding our firstborn, and it was, I don't know, sleepless night like it always was, probably 3, 4 in the morning. So I put in the pot, I put the cup underneath, I close it, watch the amazing coffee start to come out. And as I watched it, the cup filled up, and then it started just overflowing. And I just kind of stood there, and I was just like, why isn't it stopping? The cup's full. And realizing that I just picked the wrong size. And so finally, after a few seconds of this, I grabbed the cup, I pulled it out of that stream of coffee, and it stopped overflowing. With our lives, that's very much how it is with God's love. When we are in the stream of God's love, we will find that not only are we filled, but if we stay there long enough, we will eventually overflow with his love. But if we step out of that, all you have left is your own capacity to love. And I don't know about you, but my capacity can run out pretty quick. If we stay in that stream, we will be able to love as he's asked us to love. Not with your own capacity, but with his. That's what we're promised. Maybe you're not angry at someone. Maybe you're just angry at other things. Maybe you're angry at the circumstances of life. Well, we can take that anger to God as well. 1 Peter 5:7 says, give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you. And if we do that, if we bring that anger, those worries, those cares, bring that to God, we'll experience the promise of Philippians 4:7, that the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. We receive that peace that goes beyond understanding. I'm not saying it's going to make those negative circumstances go away. I'm just saying that it'll allow you to have peace even with that. Maybe the anger you have is at yourself. Maybe the anger you have is at God. Whatever anger you have, bring it to God. And let the love of God do its work. I think we all know what anger looks like in our own lives and in the lives of others. I want to close, though, by reminding us what true love looks like. Continuing in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8, it says, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. Love is better than anger. There's no question about that. Like I said, anger has been a struggle for me over the years, and it was the worst when I was in high school. A lot of stuff had happened. There was a lot of things in the church I grew up in, a lot of hurts. And I remember getting to a place where I was in my room, and I was literally praying to God, and I said, I hate Christians. I hate the church. I just hate people in general. And that's really how I felt. And now, 20 years later, to be able to say, I love Christians. I love the church. I love people. My heart breaks for those who are lost. I look at that disparity, that gap, and I'm like, only God could do that. Only God could take that anger and that hate that I had and turn it to love. You might look at the anger you have in your life and say, how can I exchange this? How can I trade this? It's not you doing it. Bring it to God and let him do the work. He's the one who does it. So yes, as we're in this Christmas season, we reflect on the gift of our Savior Jesus Christ. And spend time reflecting on his love, the love he has for you, the love he's called you to have for others. Sit with his love. Experience it. Let it fill you, and then let it overflow to others around you. Let's pray. Father, I know in a room like this, there's so much that is happening in people's lives. There's genuine anger, genuine reasons for anger. But help us just to see the truth that is not the path of freedom. That if we cling, if we keep that anger, it's a choice we can make, but you've called us to be free from it. You've called us to release it. You've called us to instead experience your love. May that be the thing that overpowers any anger, any hate in our hearts. That we could see the love you have for us, and then through that love, look towards others. As we go forward in this Christmas season, help us to slow down, to remember how important love is, how powerful love is, that love is greater than anything else that's out there. Help us to remember the love you have for us. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Please stand as we sing. Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me. And I will open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands, for I will always sing of when your love came down. I could sing of your love forever. 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 Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me. sing of your love forever. I could sing of your love forever. I could sing of your love forever. I could sing of your love forever.
That's how big God's love is. We could literally sing about it forever. I just want to remind you again, as I was even putting together the message, I'm not minimizing anything that's happened in your life that has you be caused to be angry. Those things are real and they're genuine. What I'm just trying to emphasize is the love of God that is greater and bigger than anything that could have ever happened. It is a healing love. It's a powerful love. It is the love that can cover over anything. It might not ever make those things go away, but it can allow us to move forward out of those, whatever it might be. So I want to remind you that even if you're dealing with anger in your life right now, or even past anger, bring that to God. And we have people on either side of the auditorium here. If you just want to pray with someone, I want to talk about that anger. Bring it to God and see what He does with it, because it's an exchange that He will make. I also want to remind you that after the service at 12:30, don't forget to come back for our meeting. We'll be having that right afterwards too. But just as you go through this Christmas season, continue to focus and remember the love of God. Let's pray one more time. Father, we thank you for that love, that powerful love that we can sing of forever and ever and ever. It's a love that we can't wrap our minds around. We can't even begin to fathom. But I pray that for all of us in this room, I pray we would be overwhelmed by that love. Just even a glimpse of it, just a moment of experiencing it, so we could see how big your love is for us, and that could cause us to then go forward and love others. We pray this again in your name. Amen.
Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me, and I will open up my heart, let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and